Doing something a little different today. We have my 8th grade daughter, Pamela Scholastica, and her friend are guest producing it because Caitlin is not here. They are doing an excellent job so far. We're going to call her friend Olivia because just to protect her privacy, I won't use her real name. But so far, so good. We are 23 seconds in, and I think that it's going really well.
Awesome.
Yes, young ladies, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mom. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
thank you.
And you're all Olivia. You're also in 8th grade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're so professional. They're doing a great job. And Caitlin had an unexpected family emergency come up, so please pray for her and her family. That is why she's not here. I have always valued the help that Caitlin gives me. I am valuing it on a new level with trying to do this podcast episode with her being out of town. And these two girls heard I did the Patreon live that is up now. You can watch the replay, patreon.com/thisisjen. I did a Patreon live and I tried to do it without Caitlin. And it was a surprisingly stressful experience, not one that I should really repeat. But I'd already rescheduled one and I was like, I said I was going to do one and then I didn't. And I was like, this is going to start to seem like mental illness, like if I keep rescheduling these. So there is one. It is up from this past Saturday. And I updated you guys on something I mentioned from the last episode 251. There was some money that I was curious about where it went. And so in this past Patreon live, I was posting screenshots and telling you guys about that situation. And that is one of our State of the Dumpster Fire addresses. And you get access to it when you join the Patreon at any level. Patreon.com/thisisjen. But it was not easy to do without Caitlin. And one of the things we're facing now is that in my business, I only have one computer that has enough space that has like a lot of space. It's like a nice video editing computer. And Caitlin has that because she does the heavy, intense video editing. Caitlin had to leave town quickly, so I was not able to get that laptop from her before she left. We're using my laptop. That is, I found it on an archaeological dig. It's not new. And I had to do some deep cuts in the deleting to get enough space to record this podcast episode. Like I had to delete the one video that was suspiciously, like, I don't know why it was a gig, probably because the filter I added to it, where I looked like way too hot. Like it didn't even look like me. It was like my redheaded cousin who's like 25 and a supermodel. Like I need to figure out what filter that was. But anyway, it was like a gig and I was planning to repost it, do the thing on Instagram where you're like, oh my gosh, I just found this video of me at a sunset. And I love sunsets. Do you guys like sunsets? So that's why I posted this. And that's the only, why else would I post it? I just want to talk about sunsets. So I had to do some deep cuts to make room for this podcast episode. So if it just suddenly stops at any minute, that means that my hard drive ran out of space. It means I'm having a spiral because of that. And it also means it's a chance for you to pray that God needs to send me the comedy millions because I'm not really built for a life where I don't have like a second laptop that I need. Pammy over here, I mean, she needs things. Like we need the comedy millions, do we not? Like,
yes, obviously we do.
Yeah,
my
so
phone's broken.
I know. So
we're
working on it. There are lots of things we need. So I'm actually sort of serious that if this episode cuts out suddenly, it's
over for everyone.
It's over for everyone. Yeah. I will be spiraling off camera. Maybe we can get some audio of it. So the main topic today, it's actually related. It's about being a control freak and how all of us could maybe let go of that a little. And I think we all have areas of life where we are control freaks. And unless you have diagnosed obsessive compulsive disorder, and I might say even for some percentage of people who do, usually it's because it is, if you're a big control freak in a certain area, I think it's because it's an area of life that you have kind of an undue amount of stress in that area of life, and probably on some subconscious level, you even associate it with safety. Like something is that your family's not safe or you are not safe if this doesn't go well. I have given the example before that I have many friends who, as moms, they are control freaks about the way their house is cleaned. If the kids set a cup on the wrong table, it's like, no, you can't. No, honey, you can't put the cup doesn't go there. You need to use a coaster. And the throw pillow goes over there, and the blanket goes over there. And that's a big problem for me. How perfectly clean I keep my house all the time. I'm just making sure Pammy is listening here. Pammy, would you say that being controlling about our house being perfectly clean is a big issue for me?
No comment.
Yeah. She's like, wait, I'm just trying to help you with your podcast. Like, I don't want to get in trouble here. It's not actually. And one of the things I was talking to about my friend who's a neat freak to a kind of controlling degree is that listen, my childhood was, well, again, my mom listens to this podcast, perfect. No problems at all, ever, zero trauma, anything like that. But one thing I did not have in my childhood was any kind of association of mess with like things are falling apart. We are unsafe. I might be judged by the community. We were kind of isolated. We moved around a lot. So there just kind of wasn't as much of a sense of people might think less of us if the house isn't perfect. And I'm an only child. It was, I think my mom had a pretty easy time of keeping up with the house, even though she had a full-time job. So our house tended to be, it was fine. It wasn't like weirdly neat, but she kept it fine. The point is that my friend who really flips out about order, she realized in therapy, and I'm telling her she's got to do journal speak because this kind of thing comes up in journal speak. She realized that, so her mom had, I don't know what it was. It sounds like it might've been bipolar, but one of the ways that in her childhood, she would associate that things were like not going well, mom was heading into a difficult place, was when the house got messy. And she realized in therapy that she has a very deep association of like, things are not okay. Things are about to get bad. If you walk into the house and you see, the dishes are kind of piled up in the sink and they weren't done and there's some crumbs on the counter. For me, it has to get pretty bad before and even then it doesn't trigger a lack of safety other than like, is someone going to call CPS or like, it's not, I just, that is one area and maybe one of the only areas where I don't have issues in that department. But, let me just finish that thread. So, but my friend who does, she had childhood associations of like, you're not okay. If you see mess in the house, that means bad things are about to happen. And I had another friend that there wasn't mental illness or anything like that, but it was this friend's mom very much believed that you would be just like rejected by the community. They lived in, it wasn't like old world Savannah, Georgia, but it was something like that. Debutante balls, everyone kind of, very fancy, wealthy, up in people's business, small town, judgy, that sort of thing. And her mom, well, maybe there was mental illness because her mom really would like flip out to kind of a crazy degree of like, what if Mrs. Thurston came over and saw that throw pillow on the floor? You'd never be invited to the debutante ball. You'll never find anyone to marry and you will die alone. So, okay, so maybe it was actually mental illness, but that is where her sense of lack of safety comes from, that it's like you will be ostracized from just all other human beings on planet Earth if your house is messy. And she didn't, again, until therapy, she did not realize that she had that stress. In fact, she thought it was kind of normal. Mm-hmm. She said, well, like, I'm a mom. I want my house a certain way. No, you cannot put that cup right there unless you have this special coaster that goes with it. Yes, the throw pillows do have to be perfectly arranged on the couch before you go to sleep at night. I'm a mom. This is what moms do. And in therapy, she realized, it's fine to have standards in your house that you want people to keep. That's good. That's healthy. But the level at which she would like not feel okay when it didn't happen when it didn't happen, that's when welcome to your zone of issues. Like you could almost have like a game show, like hit the applause button, Pammy. You can almost have like a game show, like, hey, here we are, we are in your zone of issues, and you are not going to feel safe at all until this is resolved. So this can be in many areas of life. So for example, for me, that's not where my issues come in, but you guys all know, the lore. I am an only child. We moved all over the country, and being atheist in my background, there wasn't even like, I'd get connected in with like the local church, and I would have that in common with those people. I would show up at new schools, and you guys know me. I'm not the least neurodivergent person, It's funny. Pammy's like, oh yeah, well, you said it, not me. I've always been a little strange. I did have imaginary friends a bit longer in life than, probably most people would. And I was strange. Like when, I remember I'll never forget when we moved to Dallas. We moved to Dallas from Phoenix, and in third grade, I do remember thinking, I think this is I think I'm going to be popular now. I think I will be able to fit in, and this. I think this is going to go really well. And we had a fair at the school, like a class fair or whatever, and I won 2 goldfish. And the kids at my school said, well, what are you going to name the goldfish? And I said, oh, I know exactly. And the girl she was kind of popular, and I was trying to be friends with her. I said, well, what are you going to name your fish? She won some too. And she said, oh, I'm going with, I don't, like Tom and Larry, or what, Tom and Jerry, maybe after like the cartoons. And I said, oh, I am going to name mine Galaxy and Quasar, because my dad has been telling me about like quasars. There was even like a cute boy who I kind of had a crush on. I talked their ear off for a really long time about how, like Carl Sagan says, that we don't know exactly. Yeah, I know. Pammy's like, wow, oof. Maybe, you could have kept that one to yourself. Yeah, can you imagine doing that? And like at the elementary school, you guys,
No.
like Olivia, I was not picking up on the social cues that they wanted to leave or die or just anything to get out of this conversation. And I was really going pretty deep with this like cute boy and the other girl about like what a quasar is. And all they did was ask me what I was naming these goldfish.
Tragic.
So if you want to talk about where my issues are, they lie in the area of like fitting in, being accepted. You don't end up in stand-up comedy without some trauma in some area of life. That's mine. So here is where I realized when we get into the like, welcome to your zone of issues, you are not, they hit it. You are not going to feel safe unless you feel like you have total control over this. I hit that when it was time to edit my comedy special. The lack of safety that I felt just in my life and in the world, and the massive panic attack that I almost had, I was like, okay, welcome to your zone of issues, because we are here. Because that involves like public acceptance. Will people think I'm cool? Will they enjoy the 17-minute bit about what Carl Sagan did have to say about quasars? Like, no, I'm kidding. That's not in the comedy special. Okay, so that is what we will cover in the main topic. The way this podcast works is at the very beginning, I set up the main topic, then we get into some intro topics, and I come back to the main topic in the second half of the show. Pammy and Olivia, can you guys remind me? I want to pick up where I left off when we get to the main topic. I want to pick up on me having to edit my comedy special and the physical feelings that elicited in me, because I think my listeners might have similar things in their lives. So can you guys remember that?
I'll write it down.
Okay, perfect. Columbus, I am coming your way May 7th. That is coming right up. It's going to be a super, super fun show. Columbus, Ohio. And then we have New York City, May 10th. I intentionally did that the night before Mother's Day. It is at the Triad Theater on the Upper West Side of New York. Really nice part of town. Great theater. It is exactly like a speakeasy. So we've got Columbus, Ohio, New York City. Those are my last two shows coming up. For now, I have more later, but those are the last ones for the end of my spring tour. And you can get your tickets at jfcomedytour.com, jfcomedytour.com. Welcome to the Jen Fulwiler Show. We are coming to you from Austin, Texas. I am your host, Jen. I am a stand-up comic, best-selling author, and mom of 6. This is the podcast where you learn the art of the village hustle. That is being a hot girl, girl boss, or hot boy boss who knows that love and family and community are the foundations of all true success. Caitlin White is normally our lovely producer, but we have our guest producers, Pammy and Olivia. Yes, I need to remember the fake name. And they are in 8th grade and they are doing an excellent job. And I am very active on my Patreon, as I mentioned. No, maybe I didn't mention this earlier. I did a Patreon live this past weekend. Oh, I guess I did mention that, where I was, there was just some money that I was curious about what happened to it. And I was showing screenshots of email I sent and all of that. And you get instant access to that, as well as the regular weekly content that I put out. And the live chats that I do, that we post the replays afterwards, those you get access to at any level. You can join at any level and you get instant access to all of that. Patreon.com/thisisjen is where you get access to that. And also, I like to remind you guys, this podcast is not only available on Apple Podcasts, those kind of apps, that Spotify, it's available all those places. But my favorite place for you guys to watch it is on YouTube. Anytime you want to look up the episode you're listening to on audio on YouTube, you can just type in my last name and the episode number. Like if you type in Fulwiler 252 on YouTube, this episode will come right up, and you will want to do that, because where I'm going to show you something that I did that is like truly life-changing. So you might just want to switch now to switch on over to YouTube. Okay, so obviously, rest in peace, Pope Francis. In case it was not very clear to you guys last week, we recorded that episode before the Pope passed away. So it wasn't like, oh, that just wasn't, priority for me to talk about. No, we just didn't know. Rest in peace. Wow.
Rest in peep.
Yeah, rest in peep.
Rest in
yeah, I have Easter candy on them. Rest in peace, Pope Francis. We will be getting a new pope, and I am getting in the duck and cover position for that. The idea is that God guides his church. He promised to stay with it until the end of the age, and that it doesn't mean the people in the church are perfect, but that it's just with doctrine and kind of the way things go, as Pope Benedict once said, like he won't let you totally break it, no matter how hard these people try. So the idea is that you could trust the Holy Spirit with the selection of the next pope. But I mean, I know for me, how could I trust the Holy Spirit if a podcaster disagrees with the choice of the next pope? Could you? I mean, you can't. You can't. I mean, well, and in my defense, what if the podcaster has a beard? I think that's kind of who I need to listen to, like a little more than Almighty God. Well, this guy, he has, he has a PhD in theology. So, and he seems very angry about the choice of pope. So I think actually he is the one who I should be. Yeah, it is. It's a tough choice. So, yeah. So, rest in peace, Pope Francis. It should be interesting. Yeah, just what happens next. I will leave it at that until we know more about the next pope, which brings us to, look, far be it from me to make the passing of a pope and the selection of a new pope about me. I would never do that. So let's hit this special sound effect, Pammy, for when I am saying something that is totally unrelated to the previous topic. Is the jingle bell one? Yes, wow. It means we're just like light years away from what I was previously talking about. My comedy special, probably by the time you hear this, will be completely done and edited. 3-week turnaround. Unbelievable. These people, they're so great. And I'm trying to figure out when to release it, because you don't want to do a release when like the entire news cycle, especially a news cycle that is very relevant to a lot of the core fans in your demographic, when the news cycle will be dominated by massive major news, like we have a new pope, a new successor of Peter. And what I love for me is that when I realized we would be getting a new pope, I did not have any thoughts like, why can't I have nice things? For once I could have a decent release to my comedy special, and this screws up the whole thing. I am glad that I did not have one thought along those lines. I was like, wow, God's will is amazing. I love it. I love it that the release date that I had chosen for my comedy special, when I asked ChatGPT, if you had to guess what is the most likely date that we would have a new pope, ChatGPT told me the day before I was planning to release my special. And I did not have any kind of emotional reaction to that. I was like, I love it. Wonderful. No, I didn't want like a quick turnaround, a quick release, no. So I am going to do a survey in the show notes. Pammy, can you send me an email?
Yes.
Send me an email that says, put survey in show notes, because I will forget. I'm going to put a survey in the show notes about the release date, because with the way these algorithms work, you the traction that you get the first day or so that it's out actually matters a lot. So I would like for you guys to help me choose a day when you might be available to like chat with me. What we did last time, which was a lot of fun, is we did a live chat so you guys could make comments on the special, and I was in there and Caitlin was in there and the kids were in there. It was a lot of fun. I would like to choose a date that you are available for that. So check the show notes. Pammy, have you sent me the reminder? Okay, great. So we will be, I will choose a date, hopefully that works both around you guys' schedules and then also around kind of avoiding the news cycle a little bit there. All right. I'm trying to think. Okay, what? I'm looking at time. I'm looking at space on my hard drive that I don't want to run out of. Let's see. Okay, Pammy and Olivia.
You got this.
Should I talk about comedy beef? There's a big comedy beef going on, or sock curls first. I feel like maybe sock curls.
Sock curls.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Olivia?
Yeah.
Yes, sock curls.
Okay. So again, look this episode up on YouTube. Put Fulwiler 252 into YouTube. Okay, so Pammy, let's test your producing skills here. Also, Olivia, pull up the sock curls before video, and then leave that up. I really I could have chosen a better screenshot of myself here, but just that you're supposed to be like, you look amazing.
No, Mom, don't even.
Yeah. So, okay, sock curls are where you take a sock and you wrap your hair around the sock, and then you take the open end of the sock, like the end that you would put your foot in, and you wrap it up, and your sock, your hair is all wrapped around the sock, and then you can just sleep in it like that. The nice thing about it is that it's very soft and easy, so you can sleep in it like that. Now, what you will see on YouTube, for those of you who are contra my YouTube success and don't pull up my videos on YouTube, by the way, hit the like button and subscribe while you're there. But for those of you who are just listening on audio, just imagine me with really flat hair, okay? I had flat hair. This is just a screenshot that I obviously put very little time into selecting. Well, I was on Instagram stories, okay? So just take a look at that. I was on Instagram stories. This is what my hair looked like. Okay, you can hide it. Now hit the I button, yeah. Okay, wait, before you hit the big reveal. So right after that, minutes after that, I followed a sock curl tutorial. Type that into whatever your favorite app is. YouTube Shorts. We love that for sure. The other, TikTok Reels, whatever. Just type in sock curls, find a tutorial that you like. So I did the thing where I had a clean sock and I wrapped my hair around the sock and I rolled it up and I had a 4-hour drive. So I just drove with my hair all wrapped up like that in the sock for 4 hours. I looked a little homeless, I will say, because I had a sock on my head and my hair was like I had no makeup on, as you can see from that previous screenshot. My hair was like flying around. You know what's interesting is I was in a town that I was not familiar with, and I ended up in a bad part of town. And there was an actual drug dealer, and I know that I'm not just guessing based on appearance, although that was there. I saw the situation, just real, like couple of homeless people, but I had to stop and get gas, and I was worried that they would approach me or like harass me in some way. But actually, with a sock on top of my head and like random strands of hair flying out everywhere, I think they were afraid I was going to steal their drugs. They did not bother me at all. They actually did not bother me in any way. So there are multiple values that we are getting from these sock curls. So okay, now Pammy and Olivia, pull up the after video. This is the same day as the previous flat hair.
Look at this. Sorry, I'm just here in my bathroom.
You can keep the volume down,
this
Pammy,
video
because
actually, I did
forget
a
how to
heatless
control that volume.
sock curls
I don't even
tutorial
know.
that I saw
okay.
on TikTok.
I forget.
I didn't do
see
it
that volume
before
button
because I
down
didn't think it
below?
would work.
It's
But,
sock curls. Yeah,
it
do
works.
that down. Yeah.
Sorry if you guys heard that audio.
Okay, that's fine. Hopefully, I think that was for public consumption. I couldn't hear it. So hopefully that wasn't like a message to Leah Darrow that's like, oh, I shouldn't have put that out there. Look at my hair. Okay, if you guys are watching, if you guys are just listening on audio, my hair, it looks like a lion's mane in a good way. Play it one more time, Pammy. Just real lion's mane, but like good lion's mane, like good, like the volume is honestly crazy. It's honestly crazy. And that is, I didn't even sleep on it. That is from
a drive.
Yeah, that's just from a drive. It was like 4 hours like that. So sock curls, you need, just type in sock curls into whatever your favorite app is. And then just remember, when you have amazing hair, Jen put you on. And one of the reasons I looked into this is because when I'm traveling in between shows, such as Columbus on May 7th and New York City on May 10th, I'm just too tired to redo my hair every day. And I like the idea of doing these sock curls, although I hadn't really thought through. It was like kind of sticking up straight to, it looked about as weird as it could have, honestly. And sometimes I have to fly between shows. So it's nice. I never get recognized at the airport, but that would be the one time.
Pros
that would
and
be
cons.
the
Pros
one.
and cons.
Yeah, that would, because you know my luck, Pammy. Like somebody would recognize me at the airport. And by the way, you guys have heard the lore. In case anyone is wondering, yes, Pammy is the child who was the toddler that I have mentioned many times. That was the wildest little baby that anyone has ever had. Like for the first year of her life, she just screamed all the time. And then and I mean screamed. I mean like top of the lungs. And then, do you have a theory about why as a baby you screamed?
I didn't know the time. I'm always stressed out when I don't know the time.
That actually tracks. Do you think, I mean, I kind of feel like that might track. Like in your little baby mind, it was like something was, because you weren't in pain. It did seem like something about this existence was just.
Or I was just a hater.
Okay, so then when she went on to be a toddler, she would, I'd get her out of her crib, change her diaper, get her dressed. She would start barreling through our house. It would be like first thing. She'd take a box of toys, dump it on the ground. And then I'd be cleaning that up and I'd look over and she'd be writing on her baby brother's forehead with a Sharpie. And I'd take that away. And what I love, Pammy, was your true, genuine indignance. Like, you couldn't believe that I would dare take away the Sharpie when you're obviously trying to finish what you were writing on the baby, like the 5-month-old baby's forehead. And you just couldn't believe that your mother would be so cruel as to take away the Sharpie. So then I would be like trying to get the Sharpie off of the baby's forehead, and you would be in the kitchen you would open the silverware drawer and just throw the silverware on the ground. And that was like a typical 5 minutes in my life at that time. And it was just those 5-minute chunks stacked on top of each other. And I've told you guys before that a gal left a comment on my blog. I did a post that went viral where I was angry at Netflix for taking away Shaun the Sheep, because that show, Shaun the Sheep, is the only thing that calmed Pammy down.
I had a whole Shaun the Sheep stuffed animal and everything.
Yeah. And she'd be like, Shaun Sheep. And one day, with no warning, Netflix just took it away. And they did still have Timmy Time, which was a different, I know. And I tried to say, I was like, Pammy, and I was like full of trepidation. I was like, Pammy, hey, it's Timmy Time. She toddled over to our television and she punched Timmy in the face. So that's, yeah. So I wrote an open letter to Netflix, like, how could you? And what's crazy is, like, a bunch of my fans sent, like, Shaun the Sheep DVDs. So to this day, we have a great Shaun the Sheep DVD collection. And it might be out there somewhere. If you Google my name in Shaun the Sheep, it might still be out there somewhere.
And I still have problems with Timmy.
Yes. And so what's interesting is a gal left a comment. She said, my little sister was like this. And I'll never forget, she said she would, like, drink water out of the fish tank. And she said we had to set the microwave timer to know when our turn would end for watching her, because nobody could handle it for more than a few minutes. And she said, but this sister of hers ended up being like, this sister was age 12 at the time this gal left this comment. She's like, she is the most social, lovely, just good with people, poised, lovely young lady. Now she's better with people than anyone in the family. And what's crazy is exactly what she described. That is how Pammy has turned out to be. Just lovely, lovely young woman. And I got to meet her actually at my Bloomington, Indiana show. I almost started crying because I was like, you gave me hope in the toughest time. And so Pammy, do you have any insight on how someone could be that built for chaos from ages 6 months to like 4 or 5 to like, you're really not a chaotic person today. You're actually fairly tidy. You're very, you're kind to people. You get great grades. Like,
I have straight A's right now.
Yeah. And you're in like honors classes. Like where did the chaos go? I guess is my question.
I think I was just really like curious, and I just like wanted something to do that would keep me hyperactive, and now I'm just more social, and I like use my time into figuring out how to be more social instead of throwing silverware at people.
But if I understand being curious, but like other kids will be curious, like, I'd like to get out a magnifying glass and look at, like, it was always a curiosity of like, how much can I destroy this?
Maybe I just want to get my stress out. I had a lot going on at that age.
Yeah, that's true. You did have a lot going on mentally.
When my mom took away my Sharpie. That's
right. Well, and I remember a classic Pammy moment was she had her oldest sibling, her brother, so Pammy was like 4. And so how old would Donald have been? He was...
I'm 13 now, and he's some age.
Yeah, he's 20. So, 7? Wait, no, that's not right. Well, look, it doesn't matter. He was older. He was a young teenager. And yeah, he was like a tween age, and she was little. And so she said, come outside, we play stick. And he was like, oh, fun. And there was some big kind of heavy stick. I don't know where we got it. It was probably like 4 or 5 feet tall. And so she toddled out there. I mean, she almost tipped over. She could barely hold this thing. And she started hitting him. And he was laughing, but he's like, what are we doing? And she's like, we play stick. And he's like, but how do you play this game? She eventually explained the game is she hits you with a stick. It's literally the game. Like that's the game. And she would ask other people, like, let's play a stick. I mean, it was amazing. It's truly amazing. So Pammy is living proof that crazy toddlers can do a complete 180. She is very, very lovely and very like not oddly not chaotic, I would say. Let's see. Okay, I will say this. I had a great show in Tyler, Texas. A surprising number of you guys came out, and I'm not saying like we filled an arena or anything, but I have joked before about having 4 fans show up at places, but I was fully prepared that Tyler, Texas, it's kind of a small town. I mean, I really thought this might be just a real VIP, like me and 2 people
Meet and greet
situation. Style. Yeah. I actually thought if I bring my kids, I could probably double the attendance of this show. But so I was very pleasantly surprised by the turnout. It was such a fun show. Really wonderful. Egan Robinson, who opened in Plano, also opened in Tyler. It was great. I also had another gal, Angela, open. She was a big hit. Wonderful. Okay. So the next day on the way home, I wanted to stop at a famous barbecue place. And I wasn't sure if I found the right one. But then when I saw that it was located in a very difficult place to get to, and there was no parking, but a long line to get in there, I was like, oh, this is for sure the right place.
Rookie mistake.
It was, yeah. And it was in that moment. Well, okay, so I had called in an order, and the people were great on the phone. They were very sweet. But so I had called in an order, and I had to figure out how to go in and pick it up. That turned into it was like a Norse saga, and it made me realize I am too neurodivergent to be a patron of hip, locally owned restaurants. I can't. I can't do it because it's always like they have 4 parking spots for their 850 customers who are there. You park 4 blocks away next to some crack house, and then you finally get back there, and then you're trying to go inside. And it's like, well, these aren't the doors that you go in. And you ask someone, well, where are the doors that I go in? And they just want to like slap you with their vape. They're just like, we can't believe that you're even here. Like, why are you like, you're such a rube. You don't know. And you're like, oh, I'm so dumb because I tried going in the big double doors at the front of the building that are where the sidewalk ends. And that's crazy that I would think that that's where you enter this restaurant. And it turns out where you enter is there's an abandoned building on the corner, and you just go in through that basement, and that's how you get in. And then the hostess, greets you with utter hostility, and you wait 3 hours, and then they seat you on the laps of some other patrons. You know that you are officially a middle-aged suburbanite when your first thought is, I don't have to deal with this at Applebee's. Like it's like Chili's for me for the rest of my life. Chain restaurants only. I think that locally owned, cute, kitschy restaurants are good. I think they're good for the culture, and I'm glad we have them, and I'm glad they're doing a booming business, and I mean that sincerely. I am not meant to support them. That's a young person's game, that like, oh, look, it's great. We waited 4 hours to get our $19 taco that has 0.001 ounces of soy beef in it, and we loved it. And the waiter only slapped us in the face once. It was a really good experience. I actually mean sincerely that it's good to have locally owned establishments. I just need to never go there because, oh, you know what? Pammy, hit the seamless tapestry sound effect. The only sound effect we really have is jingle bells. So it's because I haven't made the Comedy Millions yet, so we can't afford any other sound effect. I tried to get one and like it never works. So okay, seamless. Yeah, exactly. Seamless tapestry. That this actually what I'm about to say fits in with that main topic of you can learn a lot about yourself, about the areas of life that you are a control freak. So or areas of life where like you kind of flip out if things don't go as expected. I am sensitive to feeling like I am an outsider who doesn't know the system. Now, is that unresolved trauma? Is it because I'm on the spectrum, or is it this like supernova of both things combining? But it is a supernova situation. So I go to this barbecue restaurant, which, by the way, it's great. It's really good. Like I recommend. The problem is me. I'm not complaining about this place. The problem is me. So I get there. Obviously, there's like no parking or anything. So I park in this lot. There's like some broken glass around. I'm like, oh, this is definitely the locally owned famous restaurant experience for sure. Like you'd never deal with this at Chili's. So I'm for sure in the right place. So I had to figure out how to get my takeout order. But the line wrapped around the block and it was going into this one door that was a little bit hidden. And so I would, and people were getting a little aggressive, like their nose was almost touching the door, like they're trying to get in that aggressively. And I was overwhelmed by that. And I thought, okay, I think that this could, these people could rise up against me if I try to go in this door, because it would really look like I was cutting in line. And then I also thought, surely other people have thought about just placing a takeout order, like just eat it in your car. It seems insane to wait in this long line. So I thought I must be missing something, because I can't just like cut this line, walk in and get my pickup order, because like everyone else would do that. They're literally going to wait an hour. Like, surely. Okay. So then I noticed that there were 2 empty parking spots, but they were for takeout. But I'd called in a takeout order, so that's me. But I'd parked so far away, like I couldn't get my car back over there at that point. So I stood in the spot. Everyone's staring at me. By the way, this is long line of people just staring at me. Oh, and my hair was in the sock bun.
Oh.
Pammy, you can just say you don't know me. It's fine. This was sock bun day. It is hard to describe the looks on the faces of the people. Or maybe I put it in the sock bun later. Okay, well, actually, all right, whatever. So the salient point that you need to track with is I was standing in a place that you would park a car, because that's where you get takeout brought to you. And I just felt like I could not enter that building. And so it said, takeout only, here's the number to call. No. It said takeout only, and then it had a number. But it didn't say whether you call or text. And see, I felt triggered. As we have learned on this podcast, a trigger is when you have a more intense response to something than the average person would, because it is touching on some unresolved, very strong emotions that you need to release, but have not yet released. This triggered me because I was like, it is their fault that I am going to end up standing in this parking lot and being weird, because I don't know whether to call or text. Everyone's staring at me. I don't know whether to call or text. And like I texted and it went through, but I wasn't getting a response. And then I called and it was like, you have to go through the whole like, press 1 to do this, press 2 to do this. And I'm trying, and like everyone's staring at me. So now I have performance anxiety. And then cars start trying to park. So they think that I am just like waiting for my friends so that I can go into this restaurant and eat. But no, I'm a takeout person. And to these cars, I'm trying to say like, well, you wouldn't know that I'm a takeout person because I'm not in a car. But see, I'm not part of the Illuminati. For it, all of these like famous locally owned, cute, kitschy restaurants, you have to be part of the Illuminati to understand how their system works at all. And I was not informed. Like, I don't know the secret handshake. So I didn't know that hidden in their parking lot is like this one place that you can pull up. So I'm just standing there. But the cars think I'm an idiot. And I'm like on the phone with my friends. Like, hey guys, you going to pull up or what? Like, and I'm just taking up their parking space. They were right that I'm an idiot, but it's not for the reasons they thought. It's that I'm just standing there to try to get my food. And so I'm like yelling at them, like, I'm a takeout customer too. And then the people in line are looking at me, trying to talk to the cars, but they wouldn't roll down my window because they thought I was homeless. And it's just like, it was just a lot. It was just a lot. I finally got through to someone after, like typing through their menu and stuff. And they were like, yeah, you just come in. And I said, like, through the main door? And they're like, yeah, just push through the crowd. Like, you just come in through the main door. To this day, I feel like it just didn't feel right, because the crowd acted like they'd never seen anyone do this. And in fact, when I walked up and said, oh, excuse me, I'm just here for takeout, I didn't get welcoming looks. And this is Texas, where we tend to be friendly, fairly calm people. They were not tracking with me on that. Like they looked me up and down in a very hostile and suspicious way, which is unusual for like a Texas barbecue crowd. So I pushed through and I got my barbecue, and it was very good. Again, this place was very good. But what we have learned is that I'm a chain store person. I need to stick with chain stores forever. I need my Chick-fil-A. I'll just get a McRib next time I need barbecue, because I don't understand. I flip out. This is, and what a perfect segue this is to the main topic. Boy, I hope my computer has enough space to, can you imagine like if this didn't get recorded like after all this?
So distraught.
So, I am very sensitive when I feel like a poorly thought out system makes me look socially awkward and puts me at odds with the people around me, because I have issues with the idea of like being at odds with the people around me, because that was my whole childhood. And this was before, you guys, the school that you guys go to, they watch out for bullying pretty much. Like they try to stop it. Okay, you guys are looking skeptical. I think it was a little worse in my day and age.
Yeah.
I think it was a little worse. I'm not saying that it's perfect for you guys, but
yeah.
I think it was quite a bit worse. So I'm working through the journal speak process. But I just have unreleased emotions when I feel like a confusing social system is preventing me from seamlessly fitting in with the people around me. Hence the like not having, should you text or call that number at the parking space that I was standing in, that kind of thing just like sent me spiraling. But what's great is because of Nicole Sachs and Journal Speak and her podcast, and by the way, I do not mention this enough, she did finally release her book. It is called, Pammy, can you look up, just Google Nicole Sachs, Sachs. Oh no, I know what it is. Never mind. Mind Your Body. It is a must read. You have to, it's required reading or audiobook listening, whatever. Because I know about this kind of thing from her, I have learned to label what I am experiencing, realize that I have some unprocessed stress related to this situation, and just release it. And in this case, I can't journal speak. I had to drive home, but I actually did, like the weirdo that I am. I like sat in the car and I talked out loud through just what stress did I experience there. I gave myself some affirmations, and it actually really helped. So this brings us to the main topic. Don't forget, we have a new Village Hustle Patreon up this week, and Caitlin is out of town, so I forget. I totally forget what the topic is, but I have been on fire with that. So that is the higher level Patreon, and you can look that up. Let's see. This wasn't the one where I went off on the money that was missing. That was last week. I'm totally blanking on what it was. But anyway, it's new, and you get instant access. You unlock all that access at patreon.com/thisisjen, and the link is in the show notes. Okay, main topic. Being a control freak. Pammy, what did I want to pick up on? Where
you were talking about like the physical feeling of like being safe when you're editing your comedy special.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so I am not a control freak like some of my friends are when it comes to like keeping the house clean, but I do notice some areas where I am, and I will come back to the comedy special, but I actually found one. Remember, Pammy, when like 3 or 4 nights ago when we were playing that the board game?
Yes.
What's it? The spy board game?
Spy Code or something.
Oh yeah, lean closer to the mic.
Like Spy Code.
And that's when Pammy had one of the most incredible board game victories I've ever seen. It's where like,
oh, can I share?
Yeah.
So we had to give a hint. I had to give her a word and like how many cards there were, and there's 3 cards, and it was a badge of a toothbrush and toothpaste, a penguin but shaped as a popsicle, and like a guru person with their hair in a bun on a laptop. And me and my mom were on a team, and I had to give her a word, like for example, if it was like 3 animals, I'd say animal 3, and she had to tap which 3 out of X amount
Which
of
3 cards?
Yeah, which 3 out of X amount, like which 3 cards out of a certain amount relate to that. And I said hair 3, and she got it, and we won the game against my dad and brother, even though we were behind by like 3 points.
Yeah, it's unless we pulled off a miracle and she could use one word to describe 3 cards of many cards that were laid out on the table. One word that would get me to pick out only a certain 3 cards out of like 12 that were out there. So it was like hopeless. And she was like, well, all right, whatever, I'll just give it a try. And they intentionally do these kind of surreal images so that you could kind of use a lot of ways to describe them. Mm-hmm. And we got it. It was honestly like a come from behind Super Bowl victory. I mean, we just like exploded. We were high-fiving each other. Okay, but triggers. Like in family life, and this is something that moms can kind of relate to, I have to fight the urge to be controlling sometimes about the way my family interacts with each other, that I always want to jump in. Like if when the college kids are home from college, if I hear them talking to a younger sibling, I always want to jump in like, oh, well, you should have been more encouraging, and like, don't laugh at that because they didn't think that was funny. And I am working on just letting it flow, letting it be, realizing all of these people can find ways to, they all have great relationships with each other. And working on not being controlling does not mean that you completely let stuff go and don't care. Obviously, if I saw that 2 of my kids weren't getting along, I wouldn't just let that go. I would try to work that out. But that's why we really hone in here on the word controlling. There is a difference between caring and taking reasonable action to try to resolve situations versus, I would say, being controlling is when you are bringing your unresolved stress and tension, and there is a little bit of a manic feeling about it, and you get very stressed out about it. That's what I would say is controlling. So, for example, my friend who is a neat freak, she still wants her house to be neat, and that's fine. She can have her standards, but she is learning to not go back over everything her children do. Like, oh, she used to do stuff like, this dish in the dishwasher, we did not rinse that enough. So let's try to rinse that next time. And this sock should have been in the hamper. And she's trying to pause and ask herself, how much does it really matter? Really? Like, how much does it really matter if the dish was not perfectly rinsed? I mean, it's one thing if there is like an entire ham sandwich stuck to it like that. Okay, you would want to deal with that. But just, things that are maybe not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, she is trying to let go. And if she does see things like consistently kids, trashing the place or leaving chips bags on the couch or something, she is trying to not bring that like manic, stressful, like, we can't have this, like, you have to stop this, and just, enforcing consequences if there are consequences, but not coming at it from an unresolved stress, like heart racing, stressed out, controlling spirit. So that's the difference we're looking for. I guarantee you have some areas of life where your controlling spirit comes up. If you're young and single, it could be with dating. Like, is this guy the one? Is this guy the one? And it's like, okay, he just sat down and you just met him. So or like analyzing every text like it's a cryptic rune. Like it's the Rosetta Stone. You're trying to like decipher, what does this mean and how do we translate it? And that's an example of a controlling spirit. It is a good and healthy thing to say, I'd like to evaluate this person, see where this might go. Less healthy when it's like, he said, see you later, but didn't include an emoji, and you talk your friend's ear off for 2 hours about it. That's a controlling spirit. That is a sign that you have some unresolved tension in that area. So the seamless tapestry that this podcast is, that really came up for me when I was looking at my comedy special edits. This gal did a great job. But of course, the artist always gives feedback like, let's not cut to a different camera in the middle of the punchline of that joke or, whatever. Or we're on this shot when someone is like stuffing food in their mouth and you can see it. Let's not with that. But what's interesting is the day that I was supposed to look at the edits, I had a stomach ache, I had a headache, and I had this feeling that multiple people in my life, we have all now learned is like unresolved stress. It's a feeling like you are carrying a weighted blanket, like you're carrying 5 weighted blankets. Like you feel heavy and it feels like your system is shutting down. It feels like you could sleep for 1,000 years and that it is downright dangerous to not get in bed immediately. I often have this feeling before shows. A friend of mine a while back was going on a first date and had that she was like, why would I got enough sleep last night, but I feel like I cannot wake up. I'm so drained. I was like, you need to journal speak, or if you don't want to write stuff down, like just lock yourself in your car and shout about all those pent up emotions that you need to release. She's not even like a neurodivergent, living in her head person like myself, but she did it. And she was like, actually, that really helped. Like it actually helped a lot. And I do that before shows. I'll do a quick journal speak session where, you guys know how this goes. I always say my thoughts are telling me, so that I don't I'm not saying that I personally think this stuff is true. So it'll be like, my thoughts are telling me, like, everyone's going to think you're so dumb, you're a failure, your haters are right. Like, I don't believe any of that, but those emotions are in there. And when I release them, that weighted blanket feeling, that extreme sudden acute fatigue goes away. So this happened leading up to looking at the edits of my comedy special. And again, I felt sick to my stomach. As much as I know about Dr. Sarno, Nicole Sachs, the tension myositis syndrome, which I have labeled FUNS, and that what do we call it? Fired up nervous system. I have used a different word for the F there occasionally. Pammy for sure has no idea what I'm talking about. But fired up nervous system, meaning you are having physical symptoms that are the result of your nervous system is just going insane on the inside, because there are some emotions here that you have not released. And now you feel physically horrible because of it. So I could teach a class on that. And I felt so bad on the day of looking at my comedy special. I was like, no, I just have the flu. I mean, this is like, I must have food poisoning or something. I did a power journal speak session and it was gone. Like I felt fine. And the worse you feel, the crazier the stuff that will come out in journal speak. And again, it's not stuff that you believe. It's your inner toddler. It's your inner 3-year-old just throwing a temper tantrum and saying, just like a 3-year-old might be like, I hate you, or I never want to play with this toy again. It's like, okay, I mean, they don't mean that. They're just saying things. Those are the kind of emotions you're trying to get to. Again, for me, before a performance or looking at edits, the crazy stuff that come out, it could be like, I'm just going to see that I look stupid and this is terrible and I'm just going to fail in this career. And by the end of it, I'm like, and I'm going to die alone. All because I'm afraid I won't like what I see in the comedy special. It's totally insane. It is not what I believe at all. But those are the kind of unprocessed stress emotions that kind of got stuck in there somewhere because of my background that come up in this area of life for me. Anything involving how will I be received by a group of people? I'm for sure going to have a funds explosion in that department. Just like my friend might have a funds fired up nervous system explosion if her house is messy and she feels like she can't get it under control. Or my other friend who's dating, like if she can't get the reaction she wants from the guy, she's going to like flip out. That's your unprocessed stress. And not only can are physical symptoms a sign, but the main thing I want to hone in on is even after I felt better physically, I was still trying to bring a controlling spirit to the edits. I approached it. I sat down at my computer and it was like, okay, we got to get this right. We got to get this right. Because then again, it's like the inner toddler within me going back to that, old trauma of like, if I can just get us to switch between the right camera angles at the right time, like I will be accepted and everyone will finally, think I'm amazing. And that's welcome to your zone of issues when you start having those feelings. And so there's a great story that I always think of when I find myself like I've done the journal speak and everything, but I'm still bringing a controlling spirit to this situation. The guys who founded Oracle, and it is embarrassing that I can't think of their names. They're very famous. Pammy, can you Google who founded Oracle? Larry is one of the guys' names.
How do you spell Oracle?
Oracle. Like who founded Oracle? It's a
Larry.
Yeah, Larry Page, right? No.
Oracle.
Maybe he's a pro wrestler. I'm thinking of
Larry Ellison, Bob Miner, and Ed Oates founded Oracle.
Okay, Larry Ellison's the only one I'm really that familiar with. Okay, there's a great story where I think it's Oracle. Wait, guys, it doesn't matter. That I'm 99% sure this was Oracle, but okay, maybe it was a different tech company, but I think it was Oracle. Larry, let's call him. Let's just say Bob, because I already forget who the other founder was. Larry and Bob. And we will get back to the main point. This is a good story, girls. Listen. Larry and Bob were, they realized that Oracle was, this was, a lot of things were changing in tech. And they realized that if they didn't take a fundamentally different approach to running this company, that it was done. Like they were all out of a job. All of their employees were out of a job and this was over if they did not completely change their approach to this company. But if they could start thinking about what business they were in and what they were doing here in this building completely differently, they might have a chance. And I will tell you guys, for those of you who don't know, Oracle is like a multi-gazillion-dollar company. Now, it's one of the most successful tech companies in the world, and they did it. They pulled it off. But what they did that I often think of is when they hit that moment where they realized we can't bring the same cycles of thinking. We can't bring the same mind to this company that we have been. They actually, this is kind of cool, they walked out of the building and they stood outside and they were like, different people are going to walk back in. And they just left all of their mental baggage, metaphorically, they left it all outside and they walked back into the building. And in their mind, they're like, we're bringing a different spirit to this. We are different people and we're running a different business when we walk back through the doors of that building. That is what I did with my comedy special. And that is what I encourage you guys to do when you are having a triggered spiral moment where you are in a control freak spiral. So let's say you're the clean freak mom. You walk into your house, there's some socks on the floor, there's a chip bag on the couch, there's a suspicious smell. Where's that coming from? Someone didn't take their dishes to the sink. And you feel it, that controlling, like, no, this has to be fixed right now. Who did this? Just like Larry, whatever his last name is, Larry who founded Oracle and the other guy who founded Oracle.
Larry
Ellison. Yes.
And Bob Miner.
It's like I'm giving, a TED talk. I'm like, just like Larry, the guy who founded Oracle. And the other guy who
feel
founded
like Bob
Oracle.
Miner and Ed Oates are kind of
it was
easy
Bob.
names.
Wait, was Bob an actual guy who founded
Bob
it?
Miner and Ed
Man,
Oates.
I lucked out. All right. So just like Larry and Bob, the name that I made up that turned out to actually be spot on.
And Ed.
Well, but I don't think Ed, there was only two of them. They weren't like the Three Stooges, like they're trying to walk out the door and the three of them like hit, they can't all get through the door together. There was only two. So I'm just going to pretend like Ed wasn't part of that because I haven't heard of Ed. So his net worth is probably like 100 million X mine. I'm like, I haven't heard of him. Okay. I always land the plane. I always remember where we were going. Okay. So you're the control freak mom. And now, thanks to this podcast, which nobody can figure out how it's free, you've realized like, okay, actually this is triggering some unprocessed emotions. Like it's not just about standards. It's about like, this is not healthy. The desire of control that I have. Be like Larry and Bob. Walk outside of your house, mentally leave your baggage and be like, I am leaving my controlling spirit out here. I'm leaving my control. Hey, controlling spirit, controlling side of me, you have to stay out here. I am walking back in, and I'll set my standards. I'll do what needs to be done, but not in a manic, freaking out, like I'm not safe if every crumb is not off this floor in 10 minutes way. I'm just going to calmly, I'm going to cosplay a normal person. And that's what I did with my special. I actually closed my laptop. I went downstairs, like I got a little soda or something or some more coffee or whatever. And I told myself, I was like, this just doesn't matter. Like I'm acting like I'm like personally choosing the next pope. Like it's all on Jen's shoulders and you've got like 5 minutes to decide. I just, because we're in my zone of issues, I acted like this matters and anyone cares. And that's another sign that you're kind of in your zone of issues, that it gets very inflated in importance in your mind. And I just said, nobody cares. Like in a healthy way. It's just like, this doesn't matter. This really doesn't matter. And it doesn't mean that I won't try. I will look at these edits and I'll try to do a good job with it. But it's not going to impact the course of human history, whether I do a B+ job or an A+ job, giving this editor feedback on how I would like the progression to flow. It doesn't matter. And I am going to bring a playful spirit. Playful is the opposite of controlling. And that's what you're seeking for. When you're in a stressed out controlling spiral, the feeling that you're searching for, that you want to get before you walk back in through that door, is a feeling of being playful and just like, it's silly. It doesn't matter that much. I mean, which isn't to say it doesn't matter, it's not to say it doesn't matter at all, but it doesn't matter as much as I've built it up in my mind. And me flipping out and being controlling is definitely not, the stress that I would bring is definitely not going to get me to the outcome that I want. So, and like in the case of the board game that Pammy and I just ruled the other day, again, like some of the interactions, I was like, I have to control them. Like, no, like he shouldn't say that to her in that way, and she shouldn't say that, and my husband shouldn't say that. And in that case, I couldn't get up and walk out, but I closed my eyes. I took a quick breath, and it was like my virtual, like, I am leaving my controlling spirit. I am leaving the overinflated sense of importance that I have put on all this. Like, it's probably not going to impact our family for generations to come, you know, depending on like what tone of voice people are using with each other for this one board game. And I just said, I'm just going to bring a playful spirit to it. I'm just going to be playful, and I'm going to relax. And if there's anything that I think is a problem that should be resolved, I will make a note of it to deal with it when I'm in a more calm place. So like the mom who walks into the house being a mess, she can make a note to say, I need to enforce some consequences and, just have people do their chores better, but just not in that manic, like, oh my God, like this is so bad if we don't get this done. And like the person dating, it's like I said, it's great to evaluate who you're dating and how they're reacting. But, if you find yourself like acting like an Egyptologist who has found a new kind of hieroglyphs that you're trying to decipher because he sent you like a 4-word text, that is a sign that you need to, I would actually turn your phone all the way off, set it in another part of the house, step outside, take a walk around the block, be like Larry and Bob. Wait, are those the names of the VeggieTales guys? Were VeggieTales Larry and Bob? Here, look that up for me.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, I think it might. That would be weird. Okay. No, Bob and Larry. Yeah. Bob and Larry. Yeah. That's so funny. Okay, so we can learn from
It is Bob and Larry.
Yeah, so VeggieTales and the founders of Oracle. I knew there was something about Bob and Larry. Okay, so be like Bob and Larry, both, the billionaire founders of Oracle and
the vegetables,
the tomato and the cucumber. Maybe they were tech fans. Like maybe that's where they got those names when they made VeggieTales. If you are, again, in the dating example, like you're flipping out over this word or that word, or did he use a period or an exclamation mark or emoji, turn off your phone. Be like Bob and Larry, the Oracle founders. Take a walk around the block and just be like, I'm just going to be playful about this. God is in charge. My controlling spirit is not going to help me get where I want to go. And I am just going to be playful and let this go. Okay, Pammy, you can cue the exit music, and here's where we find out if I have enough space on my hard drive.
Is the intro music?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just hit that button.
Okay, peace out, guys.
Yeah, and let it play. Yeah, patreon.com/thisisjen. You don't know how much I'm going to lose my mind if this doesn't save on my computer.
And on that note,
yeah,
we will see you later.
Okay, yeah, see you next week. And